This is something I really had to get off my chest. People in the West seem to believe the geopolitical situation in Israel is simply a land deal in most cases and have very little knowledge of not only the conflict, but the core ideology of what fuels it, which is the most sensitive topic for Western ears in general. That is the main religion in this area. Of course, it's easier for people in the West to take shots at Judaism and also to a huge extent Christianity because they've been influenced by Judeo-Christian values indirectly or directly. So I understand to a degree their stance on those religions, but the main religion in this conflict, which I'm afraid most people in the West have very little clue on, and even officials in certain Middle Eastern countries have warned Europe about, like the UAE, it's Islam. And I say main because Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and Qatar are also major players in this. Though Jordan is trying to be a little more wiser, at least recently with Israel. But back to the point, this sensitivity and double standard to talk against Islam and also the hypocrisy in not criticizing some really fundamentally flawed aspects of it, which influences the Israel-Palestine conflict from all over the world, that's a huge problem and it's a major factor contributing to the detriment of the West. Because to be arrogant enough to conflate Judeo-Christian faiths with Islam, and this is from someone who was raised in a lot of Islamic countries for almost a decade and researched all three faiths extensively. I can tell you for a fact, 99% of people who talk about these faiths seem to think it's the same ideologies, same God, etc., but really follow popular views from a surface level interpretation. I'm pleading with you guys to get out of your comfort zone and do some serious research on this, because to conflate what's happening in Israel to what's happening in colonial slavery days or Ireland and England and other conflicts elsewhere, it just shows your lack of knowledge on this subject. This wouldn't be a problem if this was relegated to just a few thousands of people fighting over some small piece of land. But we're talking, and this is where it can get really sensitive, but we're talking close to 1.9 billion Muslims who would honestly tell you having anti-Semitic tendencies is considered a norm in most cases growing up. And I'm not going to start with Christian anti-Semitism, which has declined, but still needs a lot of work. That's a story for another day. But this is about a conflict which is not rooted in land. It's about honor and shame of losing to a people, the Jewish people, who are considered inferior. These innocent kids in Gaza who want to be shaheeds or martyrs for God, in many cases worked with Hamas on October 7th. If you're in the West, and especially if you're an atheist who thinks it's about scarcity, you have no idea how it is to be in a culture where God is important, which is a huge deal in the East, regardless of which religion you follow. All I'm asking is to try to take baby steps to understand the cultural differences. And then you'd see why your current solutions are probably, sorry to say, stupid.